Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing my December budget with me and recapping what I spent in November, checking in on how I did with my budget from last month. And let me tell you guys, there's some things I'm proud of, and unfortunately there were some unexpected expenses this month, so kind of a bummer. We went over in some areas, or even not even areas that I really had in my budget, so we will go through it in a minute. But you guys are going to be proud of me because if you've been following along this budget with me series, I started this like 2 months ago. I've been really struggling with our food budget, our grocery budget, and we did good this month, you guys, so I'm really proud of Chris and I for that. We're just getting better and better about figuring out how to budget for groceries going forward, so I hope that we can be even better in the coming months. As you noticed, I'm sitting upstairs in my office today. I normally like to record this video sitting cozy downstairs in our living room, but honestly it's already 1 p.m. and with it being almost peak winter, peak shortness of days, the lighting in my office is 1,000 times better. As you can tell, I feel like this lighting is impeccable, and it just made more sense for me to record up here today. So I'm sorry the background's not as pretty, but we're gonna get it done. So if you're new to this series, I basically have put together for myself a monthly spreadsheet where I have broken down my expenses. I have it broken down into savings and investments, and that is, as I've talked about on many of these videos, the most important thing, the thing that I'm really trying to focus on and prioritize. Then I have my fixed expenses, so things like your mortgage, your house payment, student loans, things that you know the exact dollar amount every single month. You can't really change them. Then we have our variable expenses, which are things like my gas in my car, expenses that I have to pay for, but they kind of fluctuate every month, like our water bill, our energy bill, stuff like that. Then we have food. So I like to just make that its own category, which I just have broken down into grocery and eating out. Then I have self-care, just because Chris and I both get, hair done, nails done, etc. And then the final category is spending. And that's kind of whatever's left over, the rest goes to spending. And November, obviously having Black Friday and getting ready for Christmas meant that spending might have been a little bit high in November. So let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, so in order to prepare for this video, I actually went ahead and tallied up all of my expenses already. So I've already done this. So if you're new to this, I would say, first of all, sit down with your bank account or multiple bank accounts, whatever you have, and start tallying up your expenses by category. Just go ahead and tally it all up and see kind of where you're even just coming out to get a baseline started. So with that being said, first category for me is savings and investing. I've talked about this so much, but prioritizing saving and investing really just helps you set yourself up for a successful future, to be able to retire early, to be able to buy things you want to buy down the line, maybe a new car, saving up for a house down payment or whatever. This has been so important to me these last couple months as I've been actually looking at my budget and seeing that we do have space to be putting money into savings and investments. So this month I did do $500 into each, and very proud of myself for that, because like I said previously, we weren't putting money in, and this is just something over time. Yeah, $500 isn't really that much, but over time, $500 a month into savings over a year is $6,000, and that could be a down payment on a car. Anyways, you get the point. So I'm proud of myself for doing that. We got it done. The next category I like to do is fixed expenses. So for this one, again, we have our house mortgage, which is definitely high. We overpay it though, about $600 or $700 a month just to try and pay it down. This is actually our highest interest item that we have, just from timing of when we bought the car versus when we bought the house. The house was when interest rates were going back up a bit, and unfortunately we were not able to lock in that 2-3% a lot of people were a couple years ago. So our house is actually our highest interest rate, so we are putting extra money down on that. We have our HOA, so unfortunately we just live in a neighborhood that has an HOA, nothing we can really do about that. Our internet, this is something that actually is turning out to be more of a variable expense, we're learning, because they essentially charge you based on how much usage you use, and I didn't even know that was a thing. So it has gone up a little bit these last couple months. It used to be $94, and this month was $144. So that is a little bit frustrating. TV, and that one's just fixed, $100 a month. We have the car payment, car insurance, cell phone, lawn guy, pool guy, we have my student loan, and the gym membership. So those are all of our fixed expenses. The only thing that kind of has fluctuated, like I said, is the internet. And so I'm gonna try and figure out how to get that more stabilized, but those are all of our fixed expenses. So next we move over to variable expenses. And so for this, I have our gas bill, which is the gas to, heat the house and stuff. So that did go up a little bit this month. And again, it's getting cold here in Vegas. It's starting to cool off a bit. So the gas bill did go up a little bit, but it's still $32. That's not bad. I'm not mad about it. So next we have water, and this was up a little bit last month. I'm actually not sure remember 100% why it was higher. Really shouldn't have been. We did have an excess use charge because we forgot to turn back the amount of days we water the grass, use the sprinklers, but that was only $9. So, I mean, that's part of it, but there was almost $10 worth extra fees were on that. Energy, my goal was 400. That was just kind of a random estimate guess, but it was 455. I think like what's using a lot of our energy is actually our pool equipment because the filter runs every day and it runs for like, I'd say like 6 or 8 hours a day. So that's part of it. And then like just lights and TV and stuff like that. Trash, okay. If you watched my last video, I was talking about why I was so confused about the trash bill and why we didn't have one. So I looked more into it and it turns out we only pay this quarterly. We only pay it once every 3 months. So that's actually kind of nice. There was no trash bill this month again, but there will be one next month in December. So that's just like good to know for future. And then car gas, we were low on car gas. We only filled up the car tank once, which means we did not do very much driving around this month, but that's okay. And that was $85. So next we have food, you guys, and you're gonna be so proud of me because if you watched last month's video, we spent so much money on food and got it pretty under control this month. I want to do even better though in December and January. So we spent in total $982.33 on groceries. We did do one Costco run, which was almost $300. So if we hadn't done that, this bill would have probably been a lot closer to like $650, $700. So I'm definitely really proud of Chris and I for like getting that under control. I do think we can still be better though, and I definitely want to continue to prioritize this. Like if we can keep it under 1,000, I'll be happy with that, but I would love to see it more around like 600 to 700, 750 like maximum. So again, please do let me know if you have any other comments or tips for like getting your grocery bills down. We did a lot more like meal planning, bulk meal ideas, things like that, and then honestly just really focused on like using what we already had in the kitchen. So like we had pasta and red sauce, like we're just having pasta and red sauce. We don't need to make it gourmet or something like that. And then eating out, we also did pretty good. I was honestly surprised. I felt like we actually ate out a lot this month. Maybe it was like inexpensive places that we went. So I'm really happy with that. We only spent $402.25 on eating out. So that's really good. Next we have personal care. So this is like hair and nails. That's kind of the only thing that I have in here because that's really all Chris and I do. He gets his haircut once a month. So that's just like default in there. And then I usually get my nails done twice a month, but I actually had added in an extra $100 to this budget because I thought I was going to get my haircut. But actually I got my haircut today. Don't know if you can tell. It looks very cute. I'm very happy with it. And today's December 1st. So this is going to be something for December. So I'm gonna have to move that over. But basically we hit our personal care budget. We were technically under budget here and no surprises there. All right, now let's talk about our spending. This is where things got out of control. So let's just go ahead and dive into it. Unfortunately, there were a couple like unexpected expenses. That's part of it. Okay, so basically Ubers, we didn't use any Ubers, so that's great. Saved 50 bucks there. Travel other. This had a couple unexpected things. One thing I was expecting was I knew Chris and I had a flight, a trip, and so I knew we were gonna pay for parking for that. And that was like $50, which I think is what I had budgeted in. But what I hadn't accounted for was we're actually going up to Spokane for Christmas and we're actually driving because we wanted to take the dogs, take Loki for his first Christmas and be with him and stuff. So anyways, which means we're driving, which means we actually needed to book like a hotel room for the drive up and we will still need to book a hotel room for the drive back down. So I did have to spend like $120 on a hotel room. So that was kind of unexpected, just something I had forgotten about. Dogs. These dogs were expensive this month. I was not expecting that. So Loki did have his last round of shots and I was expecting to have like a vet bill, but I was expecting it to be a lot lower than it was. It was like $350 for his final round of shots. It was a little expensive. It was unexpected. But then the problem was then we also had to buy both dogs food. We also, for the trip that I was just telling you about, we ended up having to use a rover for that. Normally we have a friend watch the dogs, but it's a long story. Basically we decided to go with a rover person instead. And so that was like $200. That was like unexpected. And then the other thing that we ended up spending money on that I was not planning to do is we ended up booking a training class for Loki, which doesn't start until January, like mid-January, but we had to book it now. And that was like $120. So it was just a couple extra things for the dogs that I wasn't expecting in general. And going forward, I definitely think I want to put a little bit more of a buffer there. Luckily, Loki is done with his shots now, but he is still going to need his neutering done. And I don't know, you never know. Basically, it seems seems like. So moving on to shopping, Amazon and then other shopping. So actually this isn't too bad. When I add these together, it comes out to $1,541.22, and I had budgeted $1,500 like between the two. It just like shook out a little bit differently than I was expecting. So $751.73 on Amazon, and then other shopping was $789.49. And it's worth mentioning, this should go without saying, but obviously this is all Christmas shopping. I don't think very much of this, if any of it, was just fun spending for me and Chris on things that we wanted. So this was stuff for like his parents, his sister and brother-in-law, my parents, my sister, my niece, and then each other. So that's like 4, 8, 9, that's like 11 people, $1,500, which almost shakes out to like less than $150 a person. So I don't know if that's high or not, but I feel like honestly, when I had a much better paying job, I would have spent a lot more on Christmas. So yeah, I don't know how high this is going to be for December. Like I might buy a few more gifts, but other than that, considering I've already spent $1,500, like it's going to be pretty much done, I would say. And then the final thing. Okay, this was like definitely unexpected expenses, and that's okay. It happens sometimes, but this one part of it was we had to get our water filter replaced, and we have like in Vegas, I don't know if you know this, it's hard water here. It tastes really bad for drinking. Fine to drink, but it just doesn't taste good. And we have a water softener. Well, the filter for the water softener needed replaced, and that ended up being like $333. It was very expensive, way more than I was expecting. And then the other part of this was we ended up getting tickets to this thing called Enchant, where it's like you walk through cool Christmas lights and stuff, and this is something we're doing with a couple of our friends. So I put this in other spending because I didn't really feel like it was shopping or anything like that, but more of like a entertainment. Maybe I should add entertainment category in the future. I think the main reason I didn't have entertainment in here is because we just don't do it very much. But that wraps it up for all of our spending, saving, etc. I would say obviously the biggest, place we went overboard was on spending. And I do have to say, like, it wasn't even Christmas shopping. So with Christmas shopping, I feel like pretty much stuck to our budget. It was the unexpected expenses, and I feel like that's definitely something we should start like factoring into our budget, is like just a buffer of like maybe $500 or something for just unexpected stuff. But yeah, that brought our total spending up quite a bit from October. October was $13,200, and we're at basically $14,200, so almost $1,000 more. And again, I feel like that's primarily a culprit of the water filter, the entertainment bit, and the dogs being like $500 higher than we were expecting. All right, so wrapping up this video here, all I like to do is get this set up for December and like make any adjustments that I might have for next month. So first I'm just gonna go ahead and duplicate my spreadsheet, change the name to December, of course, and then basically just go through and I kind of just like update the goals. So if, like I was just saying, if I know that there's something that I have coming up in December that I need to budget for, example, I know we still need to book like our hotel for the way back from our driving trip, so like that's just something I should probably like add in here. But let's go through it. So savings and investing, so I'm going to keep this at 500 for now. Hopefully in a few months, if I'm making more money, I would love to be able to increase this, but for now that is what it is. We are going to be gone for a good amount of December, so I'm hoping some of our bills are a little bit lower, like gas, energy, etc. I'm just going to go ahead and keep these kind of where they're at this month, though. Hopefully they're lower than I was expecting. Energy, I'm going to shoot for 400 here. Trash, this one is coming out this month finally, since I figured out that it's quarterly. The last one was paid like in September, so that means the next one will be December. And then car gas. So this is an example of something like we're driving up to Washington, so obviously we're gonna be spending money on gas. I should probably do a little calculation. Let's just do it real quick. Basically 2 tanks of gas there, plus a refill like somewhere along the way to make it that extra like 50 or so miles. So that's basically 3. Then driving around Spokane, hopefully not driving around too much, but like ideally that 3rd tank of gas would be pretty much full. So if we're not driving around too much, then maybe that tank of gas will last us the whole time we're there. And then coming back will definitely be another basically like almost 3 tanks of gas. So we should probably just assume at least 6 tanks of gas this month, maybe even 7 to be safe, which comes out to like $600, $700. And I'm not gonna lie, obviously that is a lot of money to be spending on gas, but when we were looking at airfare was like $700 a person to go up there, and that doesn't include like doggy daycare, which would have been probably at least another like $500, $600. So that was part of the reason too why we ended up deciding to drive. Plus we were like, well, it'd be fun to have the dogs. So yes, we're spending like $600 or $700 on gas, but I think hopefully it'll be worth it having the puppies up there with us, and I think it still would have saved us money versus flying. So because of that though, I am gonna put in here, I'm just gonna go ahead and put $700 to make it, just to like give us a little bit of wiggle room. Hopefully $700 is doable. Okay, all of our fixed expenses should be the same, so I'm not gonna touch those. Food, ideally, if we're in Spokane and eating a lot of meals with my family, like hopefully we're not spending very much money on groceries. We did just do a Costco run like a week or so ago, so I'm like, let's just not go to Costco before we leave. And I would love to put this at like, I'm gonna go crazy and put this at $500 this month because like I said, we're not gonna be here. So hopefully we're not spending a lot of money on groceries. And then eating out, I mean, we're gonna have to eat out when we're on the road, and we'll probably eat out in Spokane a couple times, so maybe I'll increase this to like $750. Hopefully it's not that high, but I'd rather give a little buffer. Okay, then hair and nails. I did get my hair done this morning, like I said, so this should pretty much be already accurate, and I pretty much get my nails done twice a month, so that should be set. Spending Ubers, I don't see us spending any money on Ubers. Travel other, so I'm changing this to $150 because we do still need to book our hotel on the way back. Dogs, okay. I need to be realistic about this one. Just bought the dogs new dog food. Loki's going through his food like one bag a month, so that's gonna be like $100. Doodle does not go through a bag of food a month, and she has a fresh bag, so we shouldn't have to buy her food. Does need to go to the groomer. That would be like $100. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this at $300 to give us a little bit of buffer on the dogs, because apparently for some reason we like to spend money on the dogs. Amazon and other shopping. Like I said, I feel like we got pretty much all of our Christmas shopping done, so I would really like to challenge Chris and I to keep like our total spending on Amazon and other to like $750 total. So I'm gonna go ahead and make Amazon $500, and I'm even gonna go $400, and I'm gonna make this $50. And then I kind of want to make this like other spending. This should just be like a buffer. I should just start adding in this buffer of like 500. So yeah, that's kind of what I want it to look like going forward. And if we stick to this budget, our total spending would be $12,525, which would be almost $2,000 less than November, which would be amazing. Let's do it. Let's get after it, you guys. All right, you guys, I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for this monthly budget with me, what I spent in a month. Hopefully it just motivated you guys to sit down, look at your own budget, check in with your spending, kind of see where you're netting out to kind of just make sure you're staying on track with your goals. I know personally it can be so easy to like get disconnected from where you're spending and end up spending way too much on things. Obviously, I know from experience, or just not taking the time to prioritize things like savings and investings when you really should be. So hopefully this video just inspired you guys to sit down, look at your own finances, and set a budget for December as well. Hopefully December is a lot lower spending considering most of the Christmas shopping is done, and hopefully we're just gonna spend most of our time in Spokane, you know, relaxing and not spending money. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like my monthly budget with me video series, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, or let me know down in the comments what part of this video you found useful. But that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will catch up with you next time.